Edwards on the drive, goes inside the floor. Scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
What is going on, everyone? Run Pure Sports. We're breaking it down. We're talking NBA today, and a lot of games in the association. We got what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 on DraftKings. So yeah, it should be a good time. We'll break it all down. We'll talk about the games with you guys. Of course, we had the Super Bowl yesterday, and of course, AP, you took a million victory laps for the past 2 years, but now you have to face the music. So everyone wants to hear what you thought about Pat Mahomes. I mean, probably worst performance we've seen. I'd say it's the worst game I've ever seen Pat Mahomes play. I'm trying to think of a worse game, but what was your thoughts overall on the Chiefs-Eagles game?
Yeah, they got destroyed in like every single area of the game. I mean, it wasn't like, he had no time and stuff, but still, we've seen him get around that, quick throws, a lot of drops. I mean, they just got absolutely dominated in every facet of the game. There's really little else to say. I mean, the refs are the refs. It is what it is. I'm hopeful next season, like, we can move on from bitching about that. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you guys think. Like, I don't think the whistle was that terrible yesterday. I know the Chiefs had a couple bad calls, but it is what it is. So Philly was absolutely dominant. I mean, to not blitz one time, but what was the stat? Like, they pressured him like 18 times and had like 5 or 6 sacks, which was like the most in his career. I mean, absolutely dominant performance. Like, KC, their line had absolutely no answers. So, and then Cooper DeJean, what dude is phenomenal, man. Like, he is so good. Like, Philly's defense is they're going to be a problem for time to come. And how they got Saquon Barkley is just absolutely insane. Like, absolutely insane. I will say the only thing I can victory lap is I had and actually all of us, I think we're all on the same page, but like, Spags absolutely shut down or slowed down Saquon Barkley. We all kind of knew that would be the game plan, and that was honestly like the right approach. Like, I thought Kansas City's defense played to the level that they needed to play to. It was just the offense that let them down, and they just got absolutely smoked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say Chiefs defense played great, but like the key is when the defense is on the field as long as it is, they can't get a break and they're gassed, and then they give up more yards, and it's just a disaster. So I blame the offense for everything. That was definitely a huge problem. And give the Eagles defense credit, right? When you're able to only send 4 and get so much pressure like they did, it makes it very easy. So they actually,
like Mangone, how funny was it? Because, all right, so you're on that Sunday show, and I forget who it was in chat, but they were asking, like, what's wrong with DeAndre Hopkins? Like, why isn't Kansas City using this guy? And I thought we answered that question flawlessly yesterday. He's old. He's dusty. He's old. We saw it yesterday. I mean, he was wide open. Like, I don't think he would have scored a touchdown on that play. I think there was a safety that was deep there, but it would have been a 60, 70-yard play. And I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game, so it doesn't really matter. Kansas City got dominated anyway, but it would have made it at least a little bit more entertaining going into halftime.
Yeah, it definitely would have made it a better game, which it was not. I mean, I was bored for sure.
Oh yeah, it was a rough watch.
I know Big T was bored watching it as well. I even people on Twitter are like, "You're bored because you're on the other side." No, I'm bored because it's a bad game, right? Like, it's not. I want to be entertained. It's the final game. I think it's 207 days till the next regular season NFL game. So who's counting though? Big T, I'll go over to you though. Talk about the game before we dive into some NBA.
Yeah, it's just a tough spot. Mahomes got to deal with what my boy Joe Burrow has to deal with when you never get time You look a lot more ordinary when you don't have time to throw, and that goes for everybody. That goes for Mahomes, it goes for Burrow, it goes for Lamar Jackson, it goes for anybody. Like, you need time, and if you can get pressure with 4, even Brady, Tom Brady, how many Super Bowls did he win, man? Gone 6, 7, 8? What was it?
7.
7, whatever it was. When he lost, it was because the Giants got pressure with 4 all night. If you can get pressure with 4 on these guys, Peyton Manning, same thing. When you get pressure on these guys, it's a different story, and it's just it's crazy how big of a difference. I don't. The Chiefs just had no chance. I was on the Chiefs. I liked the Chiefs yesterday. They just had no chance, and Mahomes wasn't great, but I mean, it was more just up front than anything. They just absolutely dominated up front. A couple of those too, they had 6 blockers on 4, and they still were getting to him. If you're getting pressure with 4 on 6, you are not winning that football game. It's that simple. So I think it was pretty cut and dry. I sent the tweet before too, like Eagles by 40 or Chiefs by 3. That was pretty much how it went too. Like, I thought you would know right away, because if the Chiefs were able to move the ball, I thought they'd wouldn't be able to win a close game. But when they couldn't even get the ball across midfield, I mean, it just – I couldn't even send the tweet that said now's the time, because I just knew it wasn't the time.
Yeah, we knew right away. Like, we knew, even I knew. And I'm a massive homer. I'm like, this is not going to be a good game. I was waving the white flag.
It's hard when you got no time. I mean, you're just – and then like you said, the couple drops. Like, Kelsey had a somewhat bad drop, first or second drive. Hop had the drop before half. I mean, all those little plays could have made it closer, but they weren't winning no matter what. I mean, it was just an absolute blowout. It was funny, though, because somehow in Showdown, I ended up winning money. I don't know how, because I was so heavy on the Chiefs, but those last 2 drives of scrub time somehow got me all the way to where I won a decent amount on my 150. It was great. Just I like getting scrub time in my favor one time.
Yeah, I got lucky from the scrub time too, Big T. So it helped me out.
I mean, no, Worthy went from like dead to just not dead. Mahomes was dead. Worthy was not great, and then all of a sudden they were both the nuts. You needed both quarterbacks and Worthy out of nowhere.
So I took a massive understand on Saquon, and it sounds like a lot of us did. I played 0% Saquon and captain, and I think I only had 18 or 20% in the flex. So it's like a massive stand, and like. Yeah, I could get absolutely like wiped out. I was, I think, going to the fourth quarter, like cashing nothing, and then ended up making like $20. I mean, it was just the best.
I think that's probably why we won. We were all under on Saquon, because I think I had like 25, 30%, but that was still way under the field, and that had to be why we won.
And I like going into next season. And again, you can sit here and say all you want, like. Why isn't Kansas City taking more shots to Worthy like we saw over the top? They tried, what was that, in the first half? And he had no time. Like, you got to have time for those plays to develop. Hopefully they can fix that next year, because, dude, Worthy he's going to be a problem too. Like, his development throughout the season was just incredible. Like,
dude, he was like, I bet he was the total of like 20 steps away from being like wide receiver 1 in all of football. Like, he missed like 10 touchdowns this year by literally fingertips. I mean, it's just he's gonna crush.
How, if you're the Bills, like, how do you pass up on that guy? Like that guy with Josh Allen? I don't know. I will never.
Instead, they take a slow dude that can't get any separation.
Who'd they take?
Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman. That's right. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Like Mangone has more separation than Keon Coleman.
Do I answer it? We got the Prez calling.
Yeah.
Obviously not watching our show.
He always used to do that to me. That's his move. Like the first 3 months he was here, every show I'd be on, he'd call. Like, no matter what. He had to be doing it as a bit.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Prez is not playing the NBA slate. I will say NBA All-Star break is coming up. So coming Thursday.
It's this Thursday?
Yes.
So the All-Star game is Sunday?
All-Star game is Sunday. Dunk contest and everything is Saturday night. And then the next Wednesday is when we're back, but we're back with 1 game. So only 1 game. So it's basically an entire week off, or maybe like 6 days. So it'll be puck season. NASCAR, another great reason to sign up. We got great NASCAR content over here at Run Pure Sports. And tons of other stuff. So, hey, we're playing all the sports. We'll take care of you over here. Don't you worry about it. Big T, I'm sure you're planning on playing a ton of NASCAR this season.
Yeah, I love the NASCAR stats. Rubio, me, get all that NASCAR stuff up. Matty Ice in the chat, too, giving out NASCAR winners. We had a good year last year, too. A bunch of big hits. We keep it simple with the normal format we got, rankings, stuff like that, rankings, tags, cores, all that stuff. So, and this is the week, too. I'm pretty sure Daytona's Sunday. Yeah, it's got to be Sunday. Daytona weekend, trucks probably Friday. Xfinity Saturday, big boys. It might be a Millie Maker Sunday. I don't know. It usually is for the NASCAR, but if it's not, it's a huge one Sunday. So, yeah. And I get a collect on Wednesday. Me and Mangone show 2 crisp C notes from Mangone this week. Mr. Spieth getting it done for me. Mr. JT getting it done for me. Everyone in the chat laughed at me going with Spieth. Feels good. It feels good, chat. It feels good, Travis.
Yeah, congrats on your win. We also got the duels Thursday. I'm sure
Thursday too. So we got Thursday to Sunday,
and we got. This is worth mentioning, actually. I think this is correct. Camden said there's no hockey during the All-Star break.
Oh,
so what's the reason? I just pulled up the schedule and I see Canada's playing Sweden on Wednesday. USA.
How dumb is hockey? Like, why?
I don't know why they're doing it. Maybe this dude Camden, hook us up. Let us know the reason why. So
hockey has international stuff. He says maybe it's like the World Cup for hockey.
Well, what is it, right? Like this guy says, there's 4 nations hockey. Like, what is that even?
If the hockey's out, Stevie Boynton, that's your music.
Yeah.
Or College Hoops is up. It's your time, Stevie.
Yeah, we're gonna have some massive college basketball slates coming up.
Hey,
don't forget about MMA too. The MMA team, they're absolutely dialed. Like I don't cap it. I don't do anything like that. All I do is like read our content, and our content, the guys there are absolutely dialed. 2 weeks in a row, feeling really, really confident in the MMA streets right now.
Yeah, thank you, Broccoli. What the fuck is a 4 nations hockey? I want to know too.
World Cup. It's a World Cup. It's got to be.
I don't know if it's World Cup. It's called
not the same exact format, but the gist of it, where you got the different countries playing.
Well, I'm just wondering why they're doing it. I want more details. That's all I'm asking. If someone in the chat,
it is crazy though that during All-Star break you would have it the same time.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty wild. Steve Boynton, though, like you said, that's your
music, Stevie Boynton. It's your time, baby. It's not March yet, but it's your time.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get in there. Of course, March Madness too. That will be a lot of fun. Of course, we've spent some time talking about the game. We got to dive in though. It's a pretty big slate. I'm going to go through some injury stuff to kind of kick it off. I'll mention some guys that are in, some guys that are out, just so we can kind of get a landscape of.
Is Anthony Davis in?
He's definitely.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that's why you can't be upset as a Chiefs fan today. Obviously, if you follow sports, and the poor Mavs fans, like they got to be in absolute shambles right now. Anthony Street Clothes Davis just out for like months. He might be out for a long time, right?
Yeah. He first said it was fine, but then it's starting to come back the other way. It doesn't sound good.
Yeah. That is not what you want to hear after you trade Luka. It's not what you want.
Not at all. What's up, Big Ed? We're about to dive in, so glad you could get here to hang out.
Lakers are going to put on a show tonight too. They've been played so good.
Yeah. They got screwed, too, by that trade getting overturned, but they're playing good. They got absolutely shafted with that thing getting overturned.
Yeah, because they can't even, find, another big or some other route.
Yeah. They were the ones that overturned it, though, right?
That's because there was something in his medical thing, but they should have known that so they could trade for someone else. They got screwed.
Yeah, their hope now is, maybe Andre Drummond hits the buyout market, right? And that's not a good one. You know what I mean? I don't know who else would be an option, but
they're in big trouble now as far as the deep run. Who in the world are they going to put on Jokic? They already had problems with Jokic.
Yeah, they're definitely in trouble there. All right, let's dive in and talk about the injury stuff. You guys can have a seat and just relax because I'm sure I'll be talking for a while here. Clint Capella, he'll be back, but I don't think that matters. Big Mohamed Gay, he is in as well. I know he had a huge 44-point game this weekend and then was out the next week.
Hopefully Okongwu was 7K again so we can argue about him again.
We'll have to see. It's not a good matchup. It's Orlando, so I probably won't argue about it.
Oh, you get the bailout.
Yeah, you could take that one. So By the way, he had like 55 DK points against Wemby, so it worked out pretty good that day. So.
He did smash. What day was he smashed that night?
Smashed. Yeah, it was.
I actually think he's good.
Yeah. Okay, we got the Wizards situation. They're missing Middleton, Smart, Sarr, Gill. They got Keyshawn George. Key is in. DeAndre Hunter, I believe he will be making the debut today. We got Max Struss questionable in the Timberwolves and Cavs game. Conley questionable and Edwards questionable. We already have guys out in the Timberwolves. That's a really key spot that we will discuss. LaMelo Ball looks like he will be back. I don't know what's going to happen with all these other guys. Like Nurkic looks like he might play. Smith Jr.'s questionable. Diabate questionable. He left early the other day. Josh Green. There's a lot of options on Charlotte that we're waiting on. Jaylen Brown, he is questionable. Drew Holiday still out. Tatum questionable. And Porzingis, he looks like he is going to be in. That's Boston against Miami. There's a lot of pieces that are moving around there, so that would be important. Tyler Hero, he is questionable. One of the bigger ones that happened earlier today, New Orleans Pelicans and OKC. Boston Jr. out, Bruce Brown out, CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, he is out as well. Lou Dort back in, Chet Holmgren, he's in. Isaiah Joe out, Cason Wallace out. So a lot of options there that are out. And then Golden State, Milwaukee, we got Curry questionable. Of course, Steph Curry, we have to deal with that crap. Kuminga, he is out still. Damian Lillard, he is questionable. Sacramento, Dallas, Max Christie, Dante Exum, P.J. Washington, all questionable. And then last but not least, the Denver Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr., he is questionable. We got Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. They look like they're going to play. Westbrook, he'll still be out for a little bit. And then Portland Trailblazers are playing great basketball. Grant, Murray, and Robert Williams, all questionable. So a lot of moving parts. AP, you were on the playbook. Before we dive in, what's your overall thoughts on everything I said and kind of the playbook since you've gone through it today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun slate. We got definitely some missed prices like Kuzma, Portis. I mean, Milwaukee was impressive yesterday. Probably not a lot of people caught that game. I mean, Philly was fully healthy. Joel Embiid, what an absolute joke. I mean, DFS-wise, he was fine, but again, just another L for the 76ers against a shorthanded Bucks team. Kuzma started. He's too cheap. I do think Portis, he came off the bench, but he's still smashed. Gary Trent's been awesome for him too, with Giannis out. So that's going to be a spot that I think is really interesting. The Pelicans situation, they have so many dudes out tonight. It's a tough matchup, but there's got to be some scrubs that get it done there. But yeah, overall, it looks like a really fun slate. Jokic on it, late game hammer, massive price tag. But again, he's like, his floor is massive, his ceiling is absolutely massive, and we have a ton of value on this slate. So it's definitely a Jokic slate.
Yeah, Brad. Yes, Giannis is out, but he's been out. I'm just reading from Basketball Monster. If you know the Basketball Monster page, I'm just going through it to make sure nothing is missed. And they didn't have Giannis listed, so sorry. But
yeah, he's going to be back after the All-Star break, I believe.
A lot of guys will do that, right? This is the time of year, too, where they start giving people time off for a good extended period just because it's a nice little longer break where you can kind of get that, like, maybe 2 weeks of rest, which is kind of nice for some of these guys. So, yeah, there you go. Kevin, you can go in the chat and make some charts, okay? Talk about the Portland Trailblazers. By the way,
I'm on K-Alex side. You just named off 47 dudes that I lost interest 4 seconds in, and then we're going to go game by game. Why don't you just read them when we go to each game?
Because it's important to mention. I want to let people know.
You didn't keep anyone's attention. That's too long. We need what's the thing that keeps your attention?
I zoned out too.
What's it called? What's
idea.
all the young kids take to keep their attention all night?
I don't know. Oh, Adderall?
Oh,
Yeah,
Adderall.
I mean, I need Adderall to follow all those injuries. I made it like 8 seconds into that thing, and I was zoned out.
That's not my fault. You don't want the winner, so I don't know what to tell you.
You literally named off. It was like my boy Dean 78904. You named off 83 guys.
It's important. I'm just going to be honest. There's late guys that make it very important. So again, I think it's important, but that's okay. You guys want to tune out? I guess you don't want the winners tonight. I'll be climbing the leaderboard. I
want the news, but you already lead into each game. I'm trying to help your attention here.
Well, do you know why it helps, Big T? Because when you look at the slate and you see Mike Conley gets ruled out, you don't get too excited because there's other spots later that could be pretty important. That's actually one of the biggest edges in DFS is everyone jumps on the early news and you get the later news. There's a lot of news that's going to shift tonight that's going to be important for this slate. So I think it's actually one of the most important things to understand. And hey, some people can't watch the full show, Big T. Some people got to get out of here, right? Some people got practice. So we'll go over it again another time.
Some people got out of there about 18 players into the 48 players that got listed.
That's not true because the numbers keep going up. I see them on the top left. They keep going up.
I see them on the top left.
I got you there. They keep going up. Oh, man. But all right. And hey, it couldn't be any more boring than the Super Bowl yesterday. I mean, what was
our boy? Him in nice cards, AP. There's a drinker.
That's my guy right there.
That's the dude.
He can throw down. He can absolutely throw down.
Yes, he can.
Yes. So thank you, Mr. Nice Cards. Let's dive in, though.
Man, goat standing on business, it says.
Yeah, thank you. Standing on business. James, this is your warning, okay? This is your warning, all right? Settle down over there.
I do love saying standing on business, though. Standing on business is a good one.
Yeah. See, Kevin, this is where people joining after. Kevin, my point is people aren't.
Hey, you're getting distracted.
Yeah.
We need to get your Adderall injected and get us back on track.
This is, I got to fight Kevin. Kevin, stand up and sit down, okay? You're not on the show.
Stand up and sit down.
Stand up, sit down, Kevin. Get in the Discord.
That's another good saying. I like that. Stand up and sit down.
Yeah. Stand up, sit down's a good one. I had someone do that to me when I was like 14 years old, and it was embarrassing. And I was like, I'm going to use that. That's a good one.
Brittany says I miss Holden.
Oh, man. Hey. What can I say? You guys keep typing in the chat. It's good engagement, so I can't complain at all. But, all right, let's go in and talk about the slate. First game up, let's get to the San Antonio Spurs and the Washington Wizards. Wemby in such a good spot here. Any spot against the Wizards is going to be a good one for him. De'Aaron Fox, 8.3K. Showed some upside the first game, struggled the next. Of course, Jordan Poole, monster game against Cleveland. Then okay against Atlanta, but it's the Jordan Poole show now. So, AP, if we're talking about Jordan Poole, we got to go to you, of course, and talk about him going up against the San Antonio Spurs and also the Washington Wizards, who, they were shorthanded all weekend, and they still got guys, but I still think there's spots we can get to. The problem I have with the Wizards is prices are starting to go up, and it's a pretty big slate.
Yeah, but I mean, the Wizards, they got a much tighter rotation now. They're running with these young guys. Bud Carrington, he's been pretty good. He does have a floor. Like he's going to be a smash play. Like the other problem is from a position standpoint, I don't know what DraftKings is doing. Like Bilal Coulibaly is shooting guard only, even though like he's one of their wings. It's just very confusing why they removed the small forward tag from him. But both of those guys are very much in play. And, yeah, Jordan Poole's usage has been absolutely insane. It's been ridiculous. Look, he got into foul trouble against the Hawks, and he's going to be extremely volatile. But, man, he's going to absolutely smash in some of these games. I don't hate this matchup. He's going to have to chuck. Wemby inside, good at limiting opportunity. And so, obviously, it's a spot where I think Poole is just going to absolutely chuck. Keyshawn George has been really good. We'll see what Brogdon does off the bench. I mean, he couldn't hit a shot to save his life last game against the Hawks and only played 22 minutes, but he still scored 18 fantasy points. Again, if he hits a few shots, I think like in tournaments, maybe in play, but really on the Wizards side, I'm just going to keep playing Jordan Poole, like 40% usage rate, 20 plus shot attempts with Kuzma gone. It seems like in each of these games. I mean, he's easily taking 20 plus if he doesn't get into foul trouble against the Hawks. So yeah, I think the Wizards side is very, very simple. And yeah, on the Spurs side, we have like my problem with San Antonio. I'll throw like the Kings in there as well. There's one other team that I was going to mention, but it's just like these teams, they have so many mouths to feed now post trade deadline. And that's the case. I think when you're looking at Fox, like I see he's getting ownership tonight, I can't do it. I think we're going to see more floor games than ceiling games from him just because you have CP, you have Devin Vassell, you have Stephen Castle, who's been really good. off the bench. They have so many dudes. But man, Wemby is the one guy that can absolutely break a slate, and he's in a phenomenal matchup. Like Rashawn Holmes, like how tall is he? Like 6'9"? He's not a big center at all. Like I think Wemby's going to get whatever he wants in this matchup tonight. We just need the Wizards to keep this game close. And so I do think it's a spot where you can play like a Wemby, and if you do, I would be running it back with like a Jordan Poole, Bub Carrington, or a Keyshawn George type for sure, because those guys are going to be important in keeping this game close. So I think it's a good game to target fantasy-wise. I have a ton of interest in Wemby tonight and Mr. Jordan Poole.
Yep, I think that makes a lot of sense there, Big T. I'll go over to you to talk about this game. There are 3 games starting at 7 o'clock. This is one of them. Wemby is clearly a good spend. You also have values you can mix and match, right? Like Coulibaly, Rashawn Holmes, he'll likely start. What's your thoughts here on the Wizards and Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, you have to like any game with the Wizards just because of the amount of defense they play. They play with good pace. I'll be interested to see how their rotation goes. Just I don't get why they bring in a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, or I kind of thought they would just release him. I don't know how. I don't know how the contracts and all that stuff works, but he felt like a buyout type guy for me. Has he played already in Washington since the trade?
Yeah, I thought he played the other day.
He's playing like 22 to 25 minutes.
How many of these last games were with Washington? Was it
two games ago? He played 23 minutes against Atlanta.
That's the only one. Okay.
Against who? What'd you say?
I mean, that's the only game. The one game. I wasn't sure if he played 1 or 2 games.
He played on February 5th against Brooklyn. February 3rd. He's played 4 times in February, so he's playing. Like he's not.
I mean, on this team, he couldn't have played 4 times on Washington, right?
What do you mean on Washington?
He got traded. He wasn't on Washington, was he?
Brogdon's
traded.
Brogdon's been all year.
He's been there all year.
Brogdon's been on this team all year.
He's been hurt though. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on and off.
I haven't seen him on that. I thought he was on some other team totally.
He's constantly hurt. Now they got more dudes that are
on
hurt.
Washington. Like that's just crazy. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't love this rotation, but I always like guys against Washington. And the Spurs aren't really a team that I worry about blowing people out. Wemby, I kind of like Fox too. I think Fox is pretty sneaky. I know he didn't do good last time out, but a few of the other games, he showed a little bit of upside, like 57 one night. I like Fox in this spot. I think he's in a pretty good spot, and Wemby. I think you could play them together. I think they both got upside. Some of these Washington projections are catching my eye, and they could get minutes, but I don't know. I just don't. I mean, Rashawn Holmes, 4,900. I agree with AP. Wemby's just too big for him. You got to body up Wemby to have any chance. Rashawn Holmes isn't going to body him up. They just got a lot of scrub guys that are going to take minutes. Coulibaly's expensive. Jordan Poole has had a few big games since everything's went down, but I can't pay $7K for him. He's going to be pretty chalky too. It looks like 30%. I don't know. I don't like Washington as much as I should.
Yep. And Jay Hill, thank you very much. Injury news got Big T off his business. He doesn't get it. If he paid attention to the injury report like I do, he would know Malcolm Brogdon's been hurt throughout.
I don't. If I have to care about Malcolm Brogdon, then I don't want to care about life. I mean, that was, man.
To be honest, Malcolm Brogdon matters. You know why? Because what happens is projections over-project him all the time, and he's been chalked this year and been really bad at times. So
I swear I didn't know he was that. Usually I like joke and troll about this kind of stuff. I swear I didn't know he was on Washington. I thought he was on. I don't know who I thought he was on, but I didn't think it was Washington.
I mean, what are they doing getting Middleton too? You got Brogdon, who's always hurt, and now Middleton, who's always hurt, and then now Marcus Smart's always been hurt. This organization is just a disaster. Not as much of a disaster as the Mavs, but pretty close.
Yep, it's definitely a tough scene for them. Let's go over to the next game. Next one up, Minnesota and Cleveland, which definitely is a game that matters. If we look at the Minnesota side, right, Mike Conley, Ant Edwards, those guys are both questionable. And those are 2 ball handlers. I mean, this is a pretty important spot. I will say I did did watch the game the other day, and if both those guys are out, dude, I saw Naz Reid running way more point than I thought he might run in this spot. He was splashing threes. He looked great. Jaden McDaniels, he was great too. AP, that's a good time to shift it over to you because I know you talked up Jaden McDaniels a ton in the chat this weekend. Talk about Jaden McDaniels against this Cleveland team. Again, not an easy matchup, but if these guys are out, this is a clear spot that we got to look at some Timberwolves.
Yeah, so Ant got ruled out, and the last time that had happened, everything revolved around Jaden McDaniels. Like he basically, the ball was in his hands. He was taking every shot that he could get, and it was his team basically. And again, that's what we saw again against the Blazers last game 2 days ago. I've been really impressed with the Blazers too. Just defensively, they've been really good. So, but yeah, if Ant is out, I do think you go right back to Jay McDaniels 6,400. I locked him in all my lineups, and what was he was definitely under 15%. He might have been single digit ownership. I just don't think people realize the role that he's in when Randall and Edwards are both out. He's the number one guy. That's going to be the case again tonight. I think matchup wise, much more difficult matchup for Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert. So I would go right back to Jay McDaniels, 6,400. I would worry a little bit about a blowout, but I think the Wolves can keep it competitive enough for sure. Hopefully Ant plays. We don't have to worry about that because I really want to wait for the news. There's so much news on this slate, and a lot of it comes in these later games. So I don't want to force anything in here early, but if Ant gets ruled out, I would definitely be looking at Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, and then also Nickeil Alexander-Walker. On the Cleveland side, again, this is another team. It's just they're so deep. They have so many mouths to feed. How I've been handling this situation, I'm curious to see what you guys do, but it's the same thing with Boston and the Kings and these teams that just have so many dudes that can go off. I typically cap it at 1 or 2 max. And what that allows me to do is then over project them, if I like the spot. But I know that in any one of my lineups, I'm going to get 1 or 2 max players. So that's how I've been handling it. I don't like this spot tonight as much, though, for the Cavs. Obviously, if Donovan Mitchell not questionable. Max Strus is the only guy questionable. Yeah, so I'm probably not getting to any Cavs tonight.
All right. Kegs, I don't know if Ant's back. So it's still questionable. We have no idea. So we got to wait on that. We don't know what's going to happen with that news. There's definitely a chance he's back. He's playing against Cleveland, though, if he is. And, hey, he'd be an interesting play, too. If he does play at 9.7K, especially if a Conley did miss, well, that's all the usage for Ant as a spend. Definitely something to talk about there. Big T, how are you handling the Timberwolves news and the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah, the Timberwolves have been an interesting team just with being a little shorthanded. I mean, even when you look at their roster, even if Ant and Conley are in, they're still somewhat thin. I mean, they don't have a deep roster of talent by any means. When you got guys like Jalen Clark and Luke Garza in your rotation, you're a little bit limited. So if those guys are out, I mean, I agree. You got to like McDaniels. You got to like Naz Reid. Even though I don't normally like to target the Cleveland bigs all that much, especially with a guy like Mobley guarding Naz Reid, I'm assuming. That's somewhat of a tough matchup, but Naz Reid's going to have the ball so much, and when he does, he's a beast, like AP was saying. I like those two guys. I think you could play both of them too, Naz and McDaniels. Gobert's probably a good play. I just can't ever go there. He's a guy that I can't click on. He'd be in my 150 set or something, but main team, you will basically never see me have him. And I also agree with Mangone that if Ant's in, I think you got to consider him, especially people don't like to play spots like this in the early game just because they like to wait for news. They like to have a guy that's not questionable. He kind of checks all those boxes that he's going to be low owned, and he definitely has upside, especially if Conley's out. He's going to have the ball all night. So I like him. And then the Cleveland side, I agree with what you guys were saying where they just have a lot of guys. Now you throw DeAndre Hunter in the mix too. They're just a deep team that is just good, and their prices all are fair. So I mean, if you landed on any of these Cleveland guys, I don't think I would make fun of it, but I also don't need any of them.
Yep, I'm with you on that. And again, it's a big slate, and with it being such a large slate, I don't need to have like loaded up on these Cleveland guys. So it's something to think about. We did just get news that Jalen Suggs is ruled out, and that's a great segue because that is the next game, Orlando and Atlanta. The last game locking at 7 o'clock Eastern. With Suggs out, that opens up the door for what? Cole Anthony, 5.4K, Anthony Black, 4.3. One of those guards definitely getting some usage bumps, but other guys to discuss on the Orlando side of the ball. Franz Wagner, 8.5K. Paolo Banchero, 8.3. Does feel pricey, but going up against Atlanta, I actually think this is a good spot. They're going to be under-owned. I think they're really good plays in tournaments that you can get at lower ownership on a big slate because, hey, on a big slate, people don't want to play Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. So I do think there are intriguing plays to look at. Atlanta side of the ball, Big T, I know you want me to endorse Okongwu. Okongwu is actually 6.2K. That is cheap. I don't think I'm going to buy it as much in the Atlanta matchup. Just not my favorite matchup for sure. Dyson Daniels, 7.2K. Trae Young, he's 9.8. He is probable. Dyson Daniels has actually had a really nice role over the past couple of weeks. I do think it's going to keep expanding and get a lot better. You could see Zachariah Risache get a stronger role as well. 4.4K feels like the wrong slate for me, but someone to watch over the next coming weeks. AP, I'll go over to you though. Atlanta's always a team we want to target. Orlando, not a team we always want to play. So how are we tackling this one?
Yeah, the Magic are really easy for me right now. What I've been doing on larger slates is creating a group rule, one max of Franz and Paolo. Franz has been lights out. Like Paolo right now struggling with his shot, and you can just kind of see him deferring to Franz, who's just been ridiculous. But again, it's going to flip-flop at some point. Paolo's going to find his form, and he's going to smash. I think 8,300, 8,500, too cheap in this matchup. One of them is going to smash tonight. I think it's Franz. And so, again, like I do want to wait for news later on in the slate, but Franz and then Paolo in tournaments, one max between the two. One of them, I definitely am going to be playing tonight. I lean Franz in this spot. He's been absolutely ridiculous. 20-plus shots a game, massive usage rate, plays a ton of minutes too. And the Hawks, they were in a 9-man rotation last game. I think like with the Hawks, what we're going to see, one, we don't like targeting Orlando, but look at the dudes in their lineup. I mean, they have so many guys. I feel like they're just going to play around with rotations, and it's going to be a really messy situation. You got LeVert, you got Krejci, you got Terrence Mann, Garrison Matthews. Like all these guys can eventually get run. I think I'm just going to take a stand and be underweight. Obviously, I hate playing teams against Orlando too. They play so slow. I looked at Niang, 4,200. I can't. I'll pass coming off a really, really efficient game against the Wizards, which again is like the nut matchup. Now he goes to what is one of the worst matchups against Orlando. So I will avoid him, and I'll probably just fade the Hawks entirely.
Yeah, Big T. You learn the NBA before you keep coming at me in the Discord chat. I see what you're doing. You don't even know who's on what team.
It was not me. The chat brought it up. I just indulged it.
No, you also piled on after, okay, Big T? You got it.
I was just stating facts. I said I was a little bored. I mean, that was part of it. I mean, I can't help it. They indulged, and I went with it.
Yeah,
it's not my fault I'm talking baseball in the NBA chat. I mean,
that's on you.
I lost interest a little bit there for a minute. I had to re-engage, and then I talked about Brogdon. I was off. I got to dial back in here a little bit.
You just don't love the game, I just want to tell you, you don't have the love for the game like me and JSU do. We love the regular season basketball.
How dare you not throw Andrew Peterson in there with you guys? He's right here. He has a love for the game. Don't you dare leave him out.
He does. He watches Wizards basketball more than anyone, so that is fair. Andrew.
I actually do. It's embarrassing to admit. It's just hilarious watching them.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's keep moving along. Actually, we got to go to Big T for this. We got to go to Atlanta and Orlando. I am curious your take on Banchero, Big T. I feel like you like to play him a lot when he's expensive. And he's kind of underpriced, it feels like. So I think him and Franz are intriguing plays at lower ownership. What's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I always like Paulo. I just think he's a stud, and I don't necessarily love his minutes. I just was trying to see how much of these were like bad game flows and stuff when you guys were looking. But I mean, early in the year when I was playing him, I feel like he was getting higher 30s, low 40s minutes. I'm looking back at it. I mean, seeing only 30 minutes, it was a blowout versus Denver, 34 in a close game. 31. I could be a lot of game flow dependent, but if he's going to get the minutes, I mean, his price tag looks cheap to me. I like the matchup. Atlanta's got to be, if not the best matchup, one of the best matchups these days. I love the spot for him. I pretty much agree with what AP was saying, where I want one of these guys, Franz or Paulo. I definitely like Paulo more, I guess, but Franz may have more upside just at this point in time versus a team like Atlanta. I could see it, but I want one of these guys. I think they're both going to be somewhat low owned too, 10%, 15%, somewhere in there. But looking at the rest of the roster, I mean, a few of these guys are like just boring value plays that you can play if you need it, like Jonathan Isaac, KCP. I don't think they're like terrible plays in the 3Ks because I think they can get you like 20. I just hate playing like Jonathan Isaac. I just never like to play him when he just doesn't get minutes and stuff. It's just so frustrating. But I don't know. I like Paulo. The Atlanta side, I don't know. Trae Young. I tried to play Trae Young last week. It didn't work out. I don't like anyone from Atlanta. I like Dyson Daniels, but he's too expensive like always. So I'm not playing him against Orlando. Count me out on Atlanta.
Yeah, I do think Atlanta is definitely tougher to play today, especially with all the injury news that you guys didn't pay attention to. That's going to be coming later on in the night. And that's one of those games, Charlotte and Brooklyn, which, hey, Charlotte and Brooklyn is the type of game that me and JSU would be hanging out at a casino watching because there's tons of news that
was the worst thing I've ever seen anyone do. That was so bad that you guys were doing that. We were trying to roll bones, and you were watching the worst teams ever.
We were waiting for you. You disappeared on us.
I was rolling dice. You guys were watching freaking Wizards.
You went to your room to get a gummy, didn't tell us, ripped it, and then went to rip dice and didn't tell us.
No.
Yes, it's exactly what happened. JSU knows. Brooklyn and apple juice while I talk about the injury report on the Charlotte side. Charlotte.
We're talking about the injuries again?
Yeah, because this is one of the big ones.
We battled through this.
Do you not want
I'm going back to baseball chat. Where's Eric Gagne at? I'm going back in.
All right. Diabate, Nick Smith Jr., and Josh Green, they are all questionable. LaMelo Ball, though, is back, and he's playing against Brooklyn. Obviously, a good spot for someone like LaMelo Ball. Could be a really good spend on this slate. Same could Bridges. I know his price has gone up a ton. AP, give me your thoughts on what you are going to do here with Charlotte and Brooklyn.
Yeah, this is one of the games that, again, like from an injury standpoint, I do think it's important. D'Angelo Russell is questionable. Keon Johnson has been like good. Like I don't understand the low projection on him industry wide, and I think if D'Lo gets ruled out, like Keon Johnson's just a phenomenal play. Like we're absolutely loaded on the slate at the shooting guard position, which is going to make things kind of tough. But if Russell's out, I could see him outscoring Bub Carrington. Like Bub Carrington, who's going to be chalk, like he's shown a floor. Like he's not a high usage guy. He's on the Wizards. Like anytime the Wizards are chalk, like I'm always a little skeptical. But the other guy that I just am confused by the projection is LaMelo. This dude took like 30 shots last game. He couldn't hit anything. Like he could not make anything at all. He was 9 for 26. Like a 40% usage rate, 10 assists. He's someone that I have a ton of interest in. Like in this game against the Nets, I don't see any team like blowing each other out. It's just going to be a brutal game where LaMelo takes like 30 shots. And at 9,900, I think he's a phenomenal play tonight because he's going to have to do absolutely everything. The other guy that, like Nurkic, he's not on the injury report. Diabate, like, I don't know. I think he kind of sucks. He's just a guy to get rebounds. Like, I think they have to deploy Nurkic to some degree tonight, and it's a perfect matchup against the Nets. Even if he plays 20 minutes, I think he could smash his price tag. So it's just another value play that you can go to tonight. And I think, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like, I wonder if there's any chance that they maybe like they start. I mean, I know projections currently have Diabate as the starter. I get that. I see that. But you trade for this guy. You just never know at this point in the season when teams are in full tank mode, testing out different rotations, different things. If he starts, like he's an absolutely like smash play lock at 3,900. So that's something to keep an eye on. Yusuf Nurkic, 3,900. I think he has a nice role either way tonight. And then on the net side, yeah, it's wait for the D'Lo news. I think Keon Johnson would become a really nice play. The other guy that again, he's semi on my. I'm always worried about the net side, the rotation right now, not too friendly. But Cameron Johnson played almost 30 minutes last game against the Heat, and his price tag has come way down. So I think if you're 115 play, MME style, I think you keep him in your pool, and then same with Nick Claxton, who's 5,700 and a really good matchup against the Hornets, which just continues to be a good matchup for opposing bigs. So I think this game is a little interesting, especially if D'Lo gets ruled out.
Yeah, and I like the Nurkic talk. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think he could surprise start. We know the Nets, they want to play big. And, hey, if he starts and he's going to play a pile of minutes, I'm interested. I know he's a good fantasy producer. So Nurkic could be intriguing at 3.9K. Big T, Charlotte and Brooklyn, what are you doing here with this game?
Yeah, at the chance of sounding stupid again about trades, why is Nurkic not going to start?
Well, Diabate's in. They would probably start him instead.
I'm with Big T on that. I think there's a good chance he starts tonight. So obviously not confirmed, but yeah, Diabate sucks.
Like, I don't looking at his price, like 3,900 just looks stupid for Nurkic. Like on a new team, it looks like a free square to me, and the projections don't show it right now. So obviously the projections think he's not going to start. I think he's going to start, and even if he doesn't start, though, like, I mean, he's in the 3Ks. This guy isn't a 3K player. So I like Nurkic a lot. I don't like Diabate, and he's questionable too, right? So he
got hurt last game, and he came out and didn't return. So there's definitely a good chance he doesn't play, but he did start last game. I know Nurkic was not available to play that game, but he has been the starter, and they might want to develop him.
Yeah, that game was yesterday. It was tilting because you had to play him. He was like 70-80% owned. He gets ruled out.
We had a lot of members really close to shipping that had him. It was pretty frustrating for sure.
Wow. Diabate?
Yeah, we had like, I think Easy Money was in 5th place, and he was like, I was the only guy with Diabate up top. We had a couple of members that were really close, and Diabate got 6 DK points. It was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nurkic is. I mean, as long as he's active, I think he's going to start, and I think the annoying part for me. He's probably just going to get announced as a starter, and then everyone's going to play him when his projection goes up to 27 or something, and that's going to be annoying. But I think he's a great play. LaMelo, you can always play LaMelo. If he takes a bunch of shots, he could crush. Bridges, I probably can't play 8,800 for Bridges, but he's been nice. The Brooklyn side, I mean, I agree with AP2 there. Keon Johnson's been good. I just worry about Brooklyn's minutes. I mean, so every time I feel like I play one of these guys, I just feel like they just don't play, and it's super annoying. They're one of the teams. They might be my least favorite team in all of basketball to roster guys. They just – God, every time I like one of these guys, I get my heart broke. Like Keon, I'll play him tonight, and he'll play like 23 minutes or something. It just happens so many times when I get on these guys. But Ball, Steve says Ball's out.
That's Lonzo Ball. Steve, we're
talking about Charlotte here, Steve. Stop trying to confuse me. I already thought Brogdon was out of the league. Don't be trying to confuse me again here. Come on,
Steve. I'm the injury guy. Let me take care of it. Yeah, don't worry.
That's it for me in this game, though.
All right, let's get to the next game. Important note: Tyler Hero did just get ruled out. That is the next game. That's why.
What is the previous all the roster? Where does that circle us back to in the 83 injuries? What's that? Where does it point us to?
I mean, what players are we going to play?
I was taking my notes with all the injuries. I was trying to figure out where I could circle back to the notepad.
Well, you should circle back to Scary Terry Rozier, who's now going to be chalk. And Scary Terry is a big conversation. You know why? He'll probably be a chalky play. and he's pretty ass. Like he's just straight ass.
They also
I
have
like
Davion. They
That's
also have
analysis
Davion
that
Mitchell.
engages me right there. I like that analysis.
Yeah. What did you say, AP?
They also have Davion Mitchell. So they traded for, obviously, they got Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, just because Hero's out, I don't know if Terry Rozier is just like a stone cold lock. He's obviously a really good play, but shooting guard is loaded. Guard is absolutely loaded tonight.
I agree. I just said I know he will. If you pull up any projection system, right, it will calculate. Oh, Terry Rozier does this and that, and he'll get ownership. I don't know what it will be, but it'll be decent. You know what I mean? It won't be nothing. Obviously, we don't have the updates because hey, it just happened. I believe the starting five will be Bam. It'll probably be Bam, Ware, Wiggins at the 3, then Duncan at the 2, and then the 1 will either be Davion Mitchell or Rozier. I wouldn't be totally surprised Rozier came off the bench, but I still think he'll pop at 4.8K. Matchup against Boston, though, definitely an important note. We should go to the Boston Celtics and the Big T. 2 big injury things here. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both questionable. If either of those guys miss, with Drew Holiday out already, it's going to open up the door for Derek White. Porzingis will get more usage his way. It'll be Peyton Pritchard's season against Miami, and it's in Miami, so who knows if they were partying in South Beach on Super Bowl Sunday last night. So overall, this is a pretty important game injury-wise. AP, break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to break down the Boston side without that news. I think maybe one of them sits. Both weren't at shoot-around. Both could play. I mean, we just don't know until that news is out. If Tatum sits, I upgrade Jaylen Brown. If Brown sits, I upgrade Tatum. If they both sit, you're upgrading Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Porzingis. I mean, all of these dudes. Like even Luke Cornett, who's been pretty nice off the bench. I don't know if you could play like if we would see like a Porzingis move to the 4, get Luke Cornett in there because you got Ware, you got Bam, Adebayo. So like Miami right now, they're obviously a big team playing with a lot of size. You got Andrew Wiggins who's going to start. He'll be a good play tonight with Hero out. I feel like he should be plenty motivated. I'm not sold on like a Terry Rozier. You got Davion Mitchell. You got Nikola Jovic. Dude, Spoelstra can do so much with this rotation. If Boston shuts down Rozier, if he just sucks like we've seen in the past, like I don't think is he going to project and be a good value? Yes, he is. Does he have bust potential? I absolutely think he does. I mean, we saw it against Chicago, which was one of the best matchups. But again, 4,800, very, very difficult to pass that up. He's probably going to be one of the best plays on the slate. But I want to see what the Miami starting lineup is going to look like with Andrew Wiggins and Davion Mitchell joining the team.
I agree with that. Brutal. I did agree with your Davion Mitchell take, though, AP. I could see him start for sure. Let's go to you, Big T. Clearly, we don't have all the injury news here on this game, but it's going to be an important game to swap to. Starts at 7:30 Eastern. What's your thoughts on Boston and Miami?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Rozier, but I don't see how he's not a near lock here. I mean, he's gone for 30 plus already, 4 of the last 5. They don't have another point guard. Davion Mitchell's not a point guard. He's going to play off guard and defend people. They don't have guards. I mean, Alec Berg, I'm looking at this roster. Like, what are they trying to get all the old dudes? They should get Brogdon. Brogdon should get traded down to this team with them. Andrew Wiggins. I mean, I think Rozier, he's going to be popular, but I can't get away. And it's against Boston. He's got all that history there too. I know it's in Miami, but against Boston. I think Jovic too, though. We've been on Jovic a decent amount lately. I think Jovic is a great play. This Ware has been awesome. I kind of like Miami more than I should. The only thing I will say, though, and I think you guys brought it up a little too, there's just a lot of guys. They got a lot of dudes that are in here now with Wiggins coming, Mitchell coming, Kyle Anderson coming. A lot of these old dudes, Alec Burks, I think Larson's a rookie, but they just got a deep roster, and they could easily play all of them and play everyone 20-something minutes except like Bam, obviously. But I don't know. I kind of like Miami in this spot. They always play Boston tough, too, as we've seen in the playoffs. I like Rozier, Jovic. Wiggins has been good enough this year too, where I wouldn't be totally surprised if a change of scenery and going down to Miami kind of gets him right. I mean, look at his last 5 games with Golden State, playing mid-30s minutes, mid-30s to 40s fantasy points. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he goes down to Miami and plays good. I mean, when Golden State beat Boston in the finals, it was only 2 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago or whatever it was, a couple years ago. I mean, he was awesome versus Boston in the finals. And I don't know. I kind of like Miami more than I should tonight. A few of these guys I think have pretty good upside. So they're starters. Yeah. As long as Rozier's starting, which I don't see how he's not starting. I mean, you guys think Davion would start over him seriously at point guard?
I could probably look it up if it really wanted, but like I'm pretty sure they started someone else over him not too long ago, right? AP, where like it was weird that he came off the bench.
Well, with Hero in probably, right? Hero can
no, like it was an even
without
weirder.
Hero in, they still didn't start him.
I'd have to dig. I could be wrong. Maybe someone
If
can.
they
remember.
did, I'd be more worried. But looking at this roster, and again, I definitely am not like crazy dialed into this, but I don't see another guy on this roster that could play point guard besides Rozier. So
Yeah,
I think he's very good.
I think he would start.
I like this team. And then with Boston, we just got to wait and see if somehow even one of these guys, say Tatum or Brown, is out. Like I don't think they both sit. I could see maybe one of them sitting though, and then the other one would just be an amazing play. Derek White, Pritchard. I think these guys are good plays. Al Horford. He's old, but he's cheap. I like this game. I actually really like this game.
Yeah, I mean, my whole point with Terry Rozier is I think if he's chalk, you shouldn't like him. If he's not chalk, I think he's a better player. Right? I just chalk Terry Rozier is a little nerve-wracking. That's my point that I have with him. And the more I look at it, I think I was mistaking it for a different spot where someone else was out. And
Pepe says it was Drew Smith, but Hero was in, which I think makes a difference because Hero can handle.
Yeah, he's had some other spots where, like, I think it was just Hero and, like, Ware or Hero and Bam, and they still didn't start him. But anyways.
I wish he was more expensive because, honestly, I don't want to play him, but it's just he's less than $5K.
Well, a good conversation, too, to have is, like, I guess the prices are Peyton Pritchard went up. It's because he had that good game the other day, I'm pretty sure. He's at 5'8", so that's not going to be a direct correlation that you could switch to. I figured they'd be in the same price range, but they are not.
They should be. That's kind of my point with Rozier. Like, they should be in the same price range.
Yeah, for sure. He'll definitely be someone that people will, again, a conversation point. Like I always say, the guys that are talking, we got to figure out, are we playing them? Are we not? How much are we playing of them? It's just a big conversation point.
I'm playing him.
I think he starts. Otherwise, it's maybe they spot start Davion Mitchell and they run everything through Bam, which a few games ago, that was kind of the case. So
Wiggins they could run it through Wiggins. If Rozier doesn't start, then you can't play him. I agree with that part. That's kind of where I'm at. If he starts, play him. If he doesn't, don't play him, at least for me.
Yeah, definitely a good way to go about it. Let's get to the next game. We're going to Golden State and Milwaukee, which, AP said it's a pretty good guard slate. And, of course, with no Giannis, it's got to be a good spot for someone like Damian Lillard, as our guy James Hayes calls him. Damian Lillard is 9.2K. We got Steph Curry. He is also questionable, 8.7. If he misses, it's definitely going to open up the door more for Podziemski and Buddy Hield. It'll obviously help out Jimmy Butler at 7.8K. Of course, Bobby Portis is only 6.3K. At least Kyle Kuzma, they raised his price yesterday. He was 3.8K. Now he is 5.3. And he did start yesterday, and Bobby Portis did not. So that's another thing to watch for. AP, I'll let you dive into this game because there is some clear big injury news here and some situations that we might want to adjust to. This game starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, so it's 30 minutes after the games we just talked about, which obviously we might not have all that news. So how are you going to tackle this game?
It's just like the perfect rotation to jam in a bunch of these guys. I'm talking about Milwaukee for a DFS standpoint because they start Andre Jackson and Prince, and these guys are just non-factors, low-usage guys. And everything is going to revolve around Dame Lillard, like it has been. Now Kuzma, which will be the same case tonight, and assuming Dame is in. And then Bobby Portis off the bench, which it might do one of two things. Might lower his ownership, but honestly, he gets the second unit run where his usage is absolutely insane because Dame Lillard's off the court, so like he's the main scoring threat, and then he has a period of time where Kuzma's resting on the bench and off the court, and then all three will just play heavy minutes deep in the third and fourth quarter in close games. It's what we saw yesterday. I assume it's going to be a similar thing that we see tonight with Giannis out. And so and the other guy too, Gary Trent has been playing really well. He's been awesome over the last, I think, 3 games now. And so honestly, it's like if Dame's in, I want to play. I think you can play Dame. I think you can play Kuzma. I think you can play Portis, and then potentially Gary Trent because he's still 3,900. Because Brook Lopez he's been a non-factor. Like he just hasn't been that good this season. And like Bobby Portis has just been so much better. And these guys are just completely underpriced. Really good matchup against the Warriors. And then on the Warriors side too, like, Jimmy had that little interview and it was just like, get Steph the ball and then get out of the way. That's what we saw this last game. And Steph had a really slow start. I know people were tilting in the Discord against Chicago, and then he came alive and put up, 50 plus. And I think the Warriors, that's going to be their game plan. It's going to be, Jimmy and Draymond facilitating, trying to get Buddy Hield and Steph Curry open looks and getting them the ball. And I think it's a really good game to target fantasy-wise. If you're fading Jokic, I do see paths to where you could play Curry and Dame together, kind of going that path. Jokic is going to make this slate really interesting because his price tag is just massive. Like you're going to have to make some stands and fade some of these guys in the upper 8K, 9K range. But Milwaukee going to be a very, very popular team. Kuzma is going to be mega chalk. And I just, for me, I'm locking him in and moving on. 5,300, going to play big minutes, should take a ton of shots. And then Portis, same thing. 6,300 comes off the bench. I'm still going to be very overweight on him tonight.
All right, Big T, Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma chalk, Damian Lillard. What are you doing with these Bucks and the Warriors here?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get away from these Milwaukee guys. Whenever Giannis is out, you got just all scoring too. Kuzma, Portis, Trent's a scorer, Dame's a scorer. You got 4 scorers, which they're going to score on Golden State. I don't know if you can like jam all 4 of them together, even Gary Trent at that price, but they're all scorers to where I think you can play 3 of them for sure, if not 4. And I think they score a ton of points on this Golden State team. I actually can't believe I was about to look at this spread because I know Giannis is out, but I think Milwaukee wins this game at home. I was trying to pull up the unabated. What's the current number right now? Because I want to bet this. I want to definitely bet this. Let me see.
Warriors are favored by 7. That makes me think
7 points. Like
that makes me think Dame might be out. Wait till Dame's out. Wait. If that happens, it'll move a few more points and then take I think the Bucks are like. I'm not a believer in this Warriors team right now.
7 points. That is crazy to me. Like that. You're probably right. I mean that maybe they're like in middle ground where if Dame's in, then it goes down. If he's out, then it. I just 7. It feels like a gift to me. But if somehow Dame's out. Then even more so, Kuzma, Portis, Trent are near locks to me. Either way, though, I think these are really good plays. And then the Golden State side, I'm going to be interested to see. They feel like they got pretty good chemistry with Jimmy coming in. I feel like him and Curry, because Jimmy can always fit in. Don't get me wrong. He's an idiot when he wants to be, and he can cause problems when he wants to be. But if he likes you and he plays hard and he wants to be good, he can be a great impact on any team. So, I think the Warriors are going to play tough, but just looking at the prices, I mean, I don't need Curry. I could see that the strategy, though, of playing Curry and Dame together and just hoping they kind of go at it. We've seen it a ton of times when Dame was in Portland going back and forth. So I could see that. I do like, obviously, the Milwaukee guys, though. I don't think I'll be – like Buddy Hield looks pretty – projected good. I don't like him that much. Yeah, I'm not as big on Golden State. I'm more on the chalk Milwaukee side.
Hey, if Dame gets ruled out, this is why like waiting for the news tonight especially is just going to be massive. Like Kevin Porter Jr. was active yesterday, but he was a DNP by the coach. I wonder who they start. Because He's one of their guards. Like they'd be very thin with ball handlers on the Milwaukee team. So
I think they would still roll with Rollins and like Andre Jackson, like instead of Kevin.
Yeah, you're right. That's the guy who's been starting when Dame's out. So
I mean, I think, but you never know with Doc, right? But that's my lean of what would happen. BG3 asked Max Bucks. It's hard to know without the news, right? We don't want to tell you one thing or the other right now. So that's why I got to get in the Discord chat. And
I think it'd be safe to say three to four either way, but
yeah, I think 3 is where I would safely say, but I mean, it could change based on.
If Dame's out though, it does open up a few cheap pieces too, like you guys said, where it could be more if he's out. Like if Dame's somehow out, I think you could start all 5 starters pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a good matchup against the Golden State Warriors. And the other thing, too, is if we get more news that other guys are out, then maybe I would only want to make it 2 just because there's so many good values everywhere. So it's just a lot of different moving parts to this slate. We did get news while we were talking not too long ago that Ant Edwards game time decision. So that's an update for now on that. We need a better update later. But, hey, that's leaning not great for someone like Ant Edwards. And that would open up a lot of value on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's get to the Pelicans and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, this Pelicans team, they're very shorthanded right now. Missing CJ McCollum, Bruce Brown, missing Kelly Olynyk, Brandon Boston, DeJounte Murray obviously been out for a while, Herb Jones. So we got Zion and Trey Murphy kind of running the show. We expect Jose Alvarado, I think, to start or get a lot of run for certain. Maybe it's a Jordan Hawkins that pops in there. But regardless, the Pelicans have to be intriguing. They are going up against a tough matchup against this Oklahoma City Thunder, who are missing Isaiah Joe and Cason Wallace. We've seen Aaron Wiggins play out of his mind lately at 5K. He is someone that's been really good. I don't think he's a crazy option to get to. I know Caruso's had some good games at 4.1K. Might not be the best slate to play these guys with so many good values, AP, on the Oklahoma City side of the ball. But give me your thoughts on that. And, of course, how you're handling this big Pelicans news tonight.
Yeah, Trey Murphy has been awesome, but I do worry a little bit. OKC, absolute beast. They just blow teams out. They play super hard. Like, it doesn't matter who's even in for this team. Like, defensively, they've been absolutely incredible. I think they're close to like fully back to full health. And just looking at it, you got Chet at the 4, Hartenstein at the 5, Lou Dort, SGA, then Jalen Williams. I mean, that starting 5 right there is an absolute beast. So I see this game getting out of hand, which has me a little concerned with Trey Murphy, who I've typically been playing in these spots when everyone's out because he's just been awesome. The other reason I'm concerned is you got Zion in, who's playing like 25 minutes, and he's just like a average like 45% usage rate when he's out there on the court. It's just the Zion show. This is a brutal matchup against OKC. So I'm probably under on the like spend up plays for the Pelicans. I think the value is in some of these scrub guys, Jordan Hawkins, the guys that are likely to play a lot of minutes. Like even, I think he's less of a play now, but I was looking at Antonio Reeves and a few of these other scrubs. So, but a lot of them are shooting guard play only, and guard is just absolutely loaded, like we talked about. Jose Alvarado, 5K, point guard play, just another one of those really solid options. And it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to pick and choose, and you're going to have to decide which of these, because you can only play so many guards on a slate. So Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, I have interest in those 2 guys, under on Trey Murphy, Zion, and OKC. Like, I love this matchup against the Pelicans, but man, they're healthy. Like, can SGA pay off his tag? If the game stays close, he definitely could. I don't think this game stays close. I think you see like Aaron Wiggins come off the bench and then close in garbage time, and he probably nukes at like 0.5% ownership because I don't see how you play him, but that's just how I see the game going. So likely under on this game. Outside of them, I have a few shares of like Jordan Hawkins and Jose Alvarado, assuming that they're in the starting line.
All right, starting lineups will be important with the Pelicans. We did just get D'Angelo Russell. He is available, so we're not going to play any Nets. They're just a team that you're going to be very, very low on today. Let's get the Pelicans and OKC for Big T, though. Obviously, this Pelicans team, you love some Jose Alvarado, as I like to call him, Grand Theft Alvarado. He always gets the job done pretty good price tag on him. What are you doing with him as a value today and the rest of this game?
It's funny. AP brought up Antonio Reeves because he's one guy I actually like on this slate, and it's more that I think OKC crushes them, and I think guards match up a little bit better in this spot. And Antonio Reeves is a bucket. Like, he is an absolute bucket getter. And Jordan Hawkins is a better defender. Jordan Hawkins is a better player. But if it's a blowout and you need points to keep up, I think Antonio Reeves is like a crazy sneaky play in this slate where he's just 3,200. And after a million basketball shows in the last several years, the difference between 3K, like 3,200 for Reeves and 4,200 for Hawkins, I mean, it's 25% cheaper. It's a huge difference. I like Reeves. I think he's a super sneaky play. So I love that AP brought it up, even though he didn't like him anymore. I think it's
I might like him now.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that game? I think it was against the Cavs. Like, I'm trying to find
dude is a bucket. I mean, he was a bucket at Kentucky. I mean, this dude is a bucket getter. He might not be a great player, but he is a great offensive player.
So this makes sense. Similar situation to tonight. He didn't start. It was when they had Elfrid Payton. Payton got the start. He came off the bench, but played 39 minutes, played almost the entire second half, and almost 50 DraftKings points.
I
might be on board.
He's the guy that, granted, like, his floor is low if it doesn't go his way. But in tournaments, if you catch the right game script, or if he just gets hot, say he comes in and he's just hot, like, he's going to steal more run, and he's 3,200. Those are the type of plays I like in tournaments because he can't be owned. Well, unless he started, then he would be owned. But if he doesn't start, he's not going to be owned, and he's 3,200. I like to play Jokic, so I like cheap guys with him. I don't know. I like that. And then OKC, I'm not playing OKC guys when they're just going to pound this team, and they're so good. They're healthy now. They got Chet back, Jalen Hartenstein. Everyone's in there. They go 10 deep still. I'm not playing OKC.
All right, yeah, OKC is definitely tougher to play there, but these Pelicans, they're going to be intriguing options for sure. Let's get to Sacramento and Dallas, which, I mean, Anthony Davis obviously being out is a big piece of news. You got Daniel Gafford, 7.4K, back into maybe his old role. PJ Washington, 7K. He is questionable. I mean, if he's in, I could see playing him, but, like, honestly, if he misses, that's going to open the door for a lot of other options, especially if Max Christie misses on the wing. I think it opens the door a little bit for Klay Thompson at 5.3K. I believe he set the three-point record against the Kings when he did it. So maybe he'll get some magic back there. Najee Marshall, 4.8K. But again, all these questionable guys would have to be out. In Dallas, they still have a plethora of wings that they can kind of go to. The Kings side of the ball, they're fairly healthy. Levine, DeRozan, like, I just think it's too crowded there. Sure, you can make a case that a Sabonis could pop off or a Monk, but I think I'll be lower on these studs on the Kings. But AP, talk about how you're handling the Mavericks with some of this news that we're waiting on.
Yeah, the Kings side pretty easy. I mean, I like the rotation for DFS formats, but they're all priced up, a lot of mouths to feed. On big slates like this, very difficult for me to get to them. As one-offs, I mean, it's fine. Like, if you want to play Malik Monk or Levine or whatever, I mean, it's definitely fine. I can't see myself targeting many of these guys over some of the other options that we have on the slate. The Mavericks, obviously, with AD out for some time, look like just an absolutely brutal situation for Dallas, for their fans, and obviously the team. Kyrie's going to have to put them on their back, on his back. I think PJ Washington going to have to step up. His rebounding upside and scoring upside drastically goes up, and then, like Gafford, he's going to have to play heavy minutes tonight. I hate playing centers against Sabonis. Like, Sabonis is just so good at initiating contact, getting people into foul trouble. So, yeah, I'm probably under on this game. Like, when I look, like, I wanted to have interest in Kyrie early on, but, like, can I play him over Dame Lillard if Dame's in? I can't. LaMelo Ball's a little bit more. I obviously like Poole, Curry a little bit as well. So it's just, for me, it's tough to get to Kyrie. So yeah, long story short, I'm pretty under overall on this game outside of PJ Washington and possibly Daniel Gafford.
All right, we did just get word Max Struss ruled out. Thank you, Kevin Reed, for that. Big T, let's talk about what we're doing with Sacramento and Dallas. Not a game that we love, but hey, there are some questionable guys that if they miss, it could open up the door for some spots, but maybe you don't want them because there's already some good plays you're playing earlier on.
Yeah, it makes it tough on the Sacramento side. It's just, you look at their roster and what are they doing? I mean, you trade away Fox, you bring in old guy. I don't know. They're a disaster. I don't like them. But Dallas, we got to wait for some news, and Mangone always talks about it. If you wait for news on certain slates and it breaks your way, just so much opportunity. Honestly, if you just did it all year, just faded the early stuff and just waited every single night, you'd get screwed sometimes without a doubt. But other nights, you just fall into stuff that other people can't get to because they already lock people in positions, price points. Maybe you play a cheap guy early and you just don't have room for another cheap guy later, all that stuff. Dallas definitely has opportunity depending on who's in there, especially against a team like Sacramento that plays no defense. I could see a lot of these guys crushing, especially if PJ's out, Christie's out. It would be funny, though, if Christie and AD start missing some time. I know Christie wasn't a focal point, but you still don't want another guy missing games after you make a trade for a guy like Luka. So I think Clay, I don't ever like Clay, but this is a Clay spot. It really is. Sacramento plays no defense. He's 5,300 too. That price point is very generous. And Najee Marshall, I think, is a great play too in there. If Exum starts, he could be out too. But if he started 3,700, basically anybody in there starting wise for me for Dallas is in play against Sacramento. Problem is you got to wait for news. There's only one game after that at 9, which you do have pieces you can kind of pivot to. The Nuggets are always, I know I'm a Nuggets homer, but the Nuggets always at least give you pivot options because the way Jokic plays, he can bring anyone with him. And that goes for all the guys in their lineup. Any of those dudes can crush. So you do have pivot options. I like what you guys are saying, though. I can wait and lock up some of these Dallas pieces.
Yeah, that was making the exact point I was just going to make. So everyone's going to play Kuzma.
Yeah.
If Kuzma,
and you're allowed to play both.
You can play both. I'm with you. But I'm just saying, if you want, you could pivot from Kuzma to Clay. And if the news doesn't go your way, Big T, Kuzma can become Aaron Gordon, right? So, like, there's definitely options that you can kind of pivot around to if you would like. I get it.
The problem with Clay, though, is he's shooting guard only. And like, that position, I'm telling you, like, it is really difficult because Bob Carrington, Koulibaly, Terry Rozier, like, Hawkins, like, guard, you can only play so many guards. And it's just crazy that they took away, like, Koulibaly and Klay Thompson's shooting guard eligibility. It, like, changes everything up, in my opinion. So that's like the argument against him.
Didn't Clay have small forward eligibility really recently?
Yeah. Like the last game he played. Same with Koulibaly 2 games ago. And they just randomly change it. I'll never understand it. But
that's crazy. Because he definitely had it very recently. That's why I was very confused by that.
That's why a min-price Antonio Reeves is just super interesting. I looked up the rotation. I know I'm going back to that. But in a blowout, which I can't see how that game stays close, he's going to get all the run. I think it's a really interesting play. And he can't be owned. It'll be like,
and there's really not that much risk to it. Even if he sucks, like, he's still 3,200. It gets you a different build. I don't know. But that's
gets you way different. I like getting the Jokic builds. Obviously, we'll talk about that.
And I'm always playing Jokic, so he comes preloaded in my build.
I will say this. So he's coming preloaded, but he's playing against the Portland Trailblazers, Kevin's national champions right there. I actually think the way Portland is playing probably is good for Jokic, right? Because it's going to be a competitive game. We can get the fourth quarter, maybe, right?
The Nuggets are. I know I always preference by saying I am a homer, but they are an absolute wagon right now. They are just giving it to people.
Yeah. They are very good right now, for sure. You're not only seeing, like, Michael Porter Jr. play out of his mind, you're seeing Christian Braun kind of grow into what we've been hoping he would become. Listen,
he's really good right now.
6.1K, and if MPJ misses, dude, he has 37 or more DK points in 4 of his last 5 games. The dude
because he figured out how to play with Jokic. He's like Aaron Gordon was. Aaron Gordon still is, but he's like Aaron Gordon with these rolls. He just rolls and knows when it's coming, and it's just unstoppable.
No,
and he's so athletic.
And he's an exciting white. And it's that
he's
time.
Not a normal white either. He is athletic. He goes down the lane and punches on people.
Yeah, Kevin, they're your NBA champions. My bad. Sorry.
Champion.
And he called him Brown, Kevin.
Yeah.
Or Braun.
No, he called him Brown.
I do it every single time. It's hard to switch it, man.
Disrespectful.
I know it's Brown, and
He's earned it. He's earned the right to be called by his name now, Travis.
You're not wrong. It's fair. Like the way he's playing right now, I feel like I have to make sure I make the adjustment. So, James with the real information. Mom is a smoke show. AP, can you confirm?
Who? Christian
Brown.
Hi. Got me interested.
Him and Luka got the top 2 in the league.
Top two, Mom.
Solid. I don't know, top 2, top 10 for sure. First or second team All NBA.
I'm gonna do some research here on Christian Braun's mom. While that's going on, AP, talk about the Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers.
I mean, you got me distracted. I had to look this up now. Oh yeah.
You'll like it.
Oh yeah. Yep. Passes the tests on multiple levels. That was a good look up. Good shout out to chat there. Yeah, obviously. So
draft, he said.
What was that?
Look up the draft. James said she must have.
I think that's what like my algo is so dialed. I think James, that's what came up for me because yeah, very good. He might be a top play consideration tonight. The red dress, yeah.
He likes the white moms. I mean, I can't deny it. Man.
She could white chalk. I'll say that.
So. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon already ruled in, probable tonight. Michael Porter Jr., who's just been an absolute flamethrower, questionable, and Westbrook out. Jokic, and there's lots of value on the slate. Like Jokic is projecting for like little ownership. All you need is some of this value that's out there to have, or at least match the other mid to upper tier guys. And when that happens, and if you have Jokic as a late night hammer, you will just absolutely leapfrog people. You just need the right value plays, and there's a lot of value on the slate. So, like, I would consider it like a one stud, and then a bunch of these value plays, and then you got the mid tier like Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis that can put up 40 plus, and if you get that, you mix and match it with the right value. Jokic could absolutely bring you home, and I think those builds are really interesting tonight. Portland should be able to keep this one competitive, you would think. They've been an interesting team. They just lost to Minnesota, a shorthanded Minnesota team. Again, if the Nuggets blow them out, that would be unfortunate. But like, what was the last game, Tony? Jokic had what, like 55 and like 20 some minutes? I mean,
he
ridiculous.
Just keeps losing that friggin' run because they're just motoring teams.
I have a ton of interest in the Denver side.
I don't understand
I think Simon's
projection.
fine.
Like, why is he always projected low 60s? It's a bad projection. I would bet the over on that every single time if they let him. Like, literally every time I would just lock it.
Yeah, and the problem with guys like Simon's, I want to like him. I hate playing opposing players in Denver. It's such a home court advantage. And this rotation's pretty difficult to figure out too. So I'm probably off the Portland side. A lot of interest in Jokic with all the value that we have tonight, though.
All right,
like, imagine if Nurkic starts. Like, look at this. Nurkic starts. That's 3,900. You just plug in there. You shift Jokic to the utility spot. You got Kuzma, Portis, and Rozier. Three other guys that are just way underpriced for the situation. And I'm sure you can easily make a Jokic build work with that starting group right there.
All right, Big T, talk about this. I'm currently investigating Christian Braun's mom apparently slept with some of his teammates. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of this crazy story.
Not surprising.
This is some wild stuff. Big T, talk about this game.
So, I mean, the Nuggets are they're just a wagon right now, and now they play Portland at home. The only thing you ever worry about with the Nuggets is just a blowout right now, and that didn't used to be the case. Jokic I don't understand it. He's always lower owned than he should be. The projection looks low again tonight for the ownership. I love that they price him up just because people won't play him because he's so high. But I mean, if he doesn't lose his run, he's going to get in the 70s like he always does or higher. He's got 100-point upside. And then these other guys with him, I mean, no one's going to play Christian Brown at 6,100. He is a great play too. So I don't see it. They have started to price some of these guys up. Like these guys were free squares for like a week, like Straw there. Zeke Najee was a good play for like a week. And then all of these guys are priced up now. So you can't really go there. Aaron Gordon, though, is 5,100. He's got to be a pretty good play. And then the Portland guys, I don't see it with Portland. I mean, they got a lot of guys. I'm interested to see how much they play a guy like Klingon and Time Lord's questionable, but so they got 3 centers, Ayton, Klingon, and Time Lord that all can get run against Jokic. In theory, I think you would consider that like a pretty good defensive unit against center. The problem is it's Jokic, and no one's a good matchup against Jokic anymore. There's no anything, but they do have 3 big bodies to throw at him. And I want to see Klingon against him. I'm actually really interested to see that because he's a really good defender. I just want to see Jokic carve him up because I think he's a pretty good. I'm actually interested to see that matchup, but no one for Portland and Jokic for me.
Yeah, Jokic obviously going to be a good play here if we have the salary. And hey, we do have the salary today, right? We have tons of value, and of course, we have more news that's coming. That is the last game of the slate, so we'll get to plays of the day. AP, I'll go over to you first. I don't know if you have one ready to go. Obviously, lots of news to come, but what do we think? What's the play of the day for you?
I mean, we always try to like give out
It's hard
contrarian play. It's brutal. It's really difficult, and I don't want to. I mean, there's just so many really, really strong plays on the slate. I think the Antonio Reeves one is really interesting. I can't like make that my play of the day or anything like that. I'll go back to Mr. Jordan Poole. I think with all of the value and strong plays at the guard position, I just can't see him getting a ton of ownership. I know early on he projected to be pretty popular. I don't see it with kind of how this slate is panning out. Again, it goes back to waiting for news and the advantage. Like I agree with what Big T said. I think if you do that on a nightly basis and if you're able to, there's a massive edge. And tonight being a similar case. So that would be my preference, but I'll go Jordan Poole because I think he's going to be a lot lower owned than what's currently being projected. Yeah, people hate playing Poole. I wanted to bash my head against the wall many times playing him, but I know he's going to chuck right now. Seen it the last few slates.
For sure. It's hard to give a play of the day without like knowing all the injury news. Because I know guys that I'd like to get to. Like I want to give someone like, I don't know. I guess I could give him out. I don't like the matchup too much. Big T, do you have yours ready to go? Because I'm still uncertain.
Yeah, I got mine ready to go. It's going to suck because he's going to get rolled a starter and the projection's going to go up. But right now, it's Nurkic. Like, I don't understand his projection. I don't get it. I guess I get it if he doesn't start. I think that's a decent number, but I'm taking Nurkic. Even if he doesn't start, I still like Nurkic. It honestly might help. He's a lock if he starts, but if he somehow comes off the bench, I still think he crushes. 3,900 for Nurkic is crazy. So that's my play for sure, Nurk.
All right, Nurkic. It is. I'll go to Christian Brown. Let's get on the train with Lisa. I'm in on Christian Brown. We'll make him the play of the day. Played him a bunch lately. I'm sure I'll play him here, and I kind of think MPJ sits is kind of my lean here. So. Hey, I got to lean into the news a little bit. I
felt like he was just, me personally, I felt like he was just sitting like as a natural off day. I know they called it his hamstring, but, I mean, he was crushing, and then they just sat him because they had a couple other guys sitting. But you call it. I mean, maybe he is actually hurt.
I mean, I'm not like – I'll say this. With the Nuggets, I'm never 100% certain. They're definitely the tough one. But, like, dude, they're already shorthanded right now. You know what? It's going to be a really good competitive game. That's one thing that I like, too, is – and, hey, he's playing really good basketball, and I like that he's guard and forward eligible. And, hey, I can put him at shooting guard, and I can always pivot to Clay if the news hits right. So that's another nice little thing that I have going for myself. So we'll go with that. Those are the plays of the day. Big T, give us your final thoughts, and then we'll get on out of here.
I love it. It's definitely a new slate, so make sure you're in our Discord. Again, check it out. I think you'll like the Discord, especially for NBA time. All the news hits, golf. With all the stuff going on, you got golf, MMA, NASCAR, others too, I'm sure. Soccer, tennis, I'm sure is going, all that stuff. But the stuff I'm going to be playing for sure, MMA, NASCAR Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with 500K on Sunday, and golf. We got golf shows. So tomorrow, Wednesday, me and Mangone, JBC be back Wednesday. Yeah, check us out. Definitely check us out. Discord, though, the news slates like this.
Yep, use that code RPS15. If you have any questions in the Discord chat for NBA that's injury-wise, I will help you out, unless your name is J-Ruff, because J-Ruff, you've been banned from that, from your slander today. AP, Pat Mahomes just got sacked one last time. So, hey, we got tons of years for the Chiefs to be good. AP will be back, and so will Mahomes in the Super Bowl one day. But thanks a lot for joining us here on the show. We are going to get on out of here. For me, Mangone, AP, and Big T. We'll see you guys later.